sign of
XconMedia.
Welcome to XconMedia. We appreciate you tapping in. We got my homeboy over there from setbacks to success, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What's up, people? What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in and dropping in. Yeah, man. It's time to run these numbers up, man. We need time to sign us a deal with one of these major networks. Run these numbers up. Revolt, come holler at us. Somebody, come holler at us. Yeah. Networks. Revolt, come holler.
Having a little audio difficulties. Okay, cool.
Oh, you all right? All right. Yeah.
Man, time to run the numbers up, man. You know, people tired of fake news, and ain't nothing like news from, straight from the people. We ain't been to school for it.
Yep.
We ain't got no particular agenda. We just trying to push the real, man.
Absolutely.
And so we got these LA riots, and the LA riots are spreading across the country.
Yes.
The ICE raids, it started off as ICE. I guess they kind of really did a street sweep, and the people are pretty much protesting and fighting against it. And yeah, it's been quite a few videos out on that. And first of all, I want to say peaceful protests.
Yes.
I understand. To me, when violence comes into play, it turns into what we have. You know what I'm saying? And peacefully protest. You know what I'm saying? But it's violent. I done seen some real nasty videos out there. So what I was gonna do is if you had any videos, let me see.
Yeah. I got some videos but I got a clip too.
Yeah.
Talking about an issue I wanted to jump right into. If you allow me to, or however you want to do it, man, I can run mine. You can run yours. What we doing?
Yeah, and then we're gonna address Miss Maxine Waters and what she had to say about it. But we'll get into that. Yeah, what you got?
Okay, so this is from a very popular, one of the biggest podcasts, conservative Republican podcasts on YouTube called PBD Podcast. Patrick Bet David, I tune in to get a really good. They have a really great show, man. Has some really good numbers, but they were talking about it, I believe, yesterday, and this was one of the hosts. There's four guys: Patrick Bet David, Adam, Vinny, and a guy named Tom. But this guy Adam had this particular comment about the riots, and I wanted to share that with the audience now. So let's run this real quick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Adam, thoughts?
So I know we're going to criticize the hell out of this thing, and I'm exactly no fan of it. But what I've been trying to do is understand the mindset of people that advocate for this. So to anyone out there that's shocked that this is happening, pretty sure Trump exactly what he would do, and he's doing exactly what he said he would do. When you campaign, it's like promises made, promises kept. This is what he campaigned on. But I'm sure Vinny, I'm sure Tom, I'm sure LA, PBD are going to comment on the atrocity that's happening in LA. And last week, I'm like, dude, I don't even give a shit about LA anymore. Every time we bring it up, it's always some nonsense. It's always some BS. But I took a step back and I'm trying to understand why people advocate for this. And it comes down to the whole concept of critical race theory and intersectionality, which we brought up a ton of times on the BLM movement, on the Gays for Gaza, on the Free Palestine movement. Why is it intersect with what's happening in California today? So this whole open border mindset, like, why do they think this way? So I had a friend actually.
You said 90 seconds you've been saying, why do they think this way? And I'm still waiting.
Okay. Well,
tell me, brother, why do they think this way?
Okay. Well, thank you for that, Pat. I had a conversation with a good buddy of mine this weekend, and I thought that he was being sarcastic.
Yeah.
He's like, look, man, I support this, right? Like, I'm going to go down there. I'm going to put on my thing. I'm going to start supporting these things. These people should stay in the country. I'm like, You're kidding me? He's like, no. Like, I'm serious. I go, whoa. So here's what it comes down to. Number one, they think that ICE is a part of the patriarchy and it symbolizes modern day oppression. So they think that the system is completely unjust, social justice warriors, and they think that the resistance is not only necessary, it's morally justified. So they feel that they have the moral high ground. Okay, great. They feel that way. You know, facts don't care about your feelings. Number two, they think that borders equal violence. That they think, in their opinion, and the way they feel, is that no human being is illegal, and that borders are completely artificial, and these arbitrary lines, it's not a crime if you cross them for survival.
Okay.
The third thing is that riots are completely justified rage, and that you're rioting for the voiceless. And in their opinion, the American dream belongs to everybody, not just the privileged. So at the end of the day, they feel like they're defending humanity. Now, obviously, we could give a
This is all liberals who feel this way.
This is why they think they're right. So I'm trying to get my mind to understand, all right, why do you feel this way? Because obviously, if you're pro-USA and you're pro-border, a nation without borders is not a nation.
Those are not the problems, though. To me,
exactly.
Yeah. The problem isn't with the people that are against this. We know with the people that are against this. The problem is with the people that voted for Trump that are now saying this is not fair. You know, he's dividing and doing all this other stuff.
Is that very common, though?
You would be amazed how many phone calls I had yesterday over this topic. Not the people that are against it. Okay. Because here, and I want you to finish your thought.
Yeah.
Were those the 3 points, or did you have more?
Yeah, but really what it comes down to is the fact that, you know, so when do you see people burning the American flag? When do you see who are these people?
Oh, there's videos of them burning the flag and celebrating.
I just sent one where he's spitting on it, Rob. I just sent it to you.
I don't know if we can play that, but here's one of a guy throwing the American flag into a fire.
Right. And then go back to the next one, Rob. That's the Kobe Bryant and Gigi one that you have right there. Watch this.
I'm downtown walking around. This is bullshit. Look what the fuck they did to the Kobe mural down here.
This is with
How
his daughter,
disrespectful can you be?
Look at this.
What a fucking joke.
Yeah.
You can pause it right there. Okay.
Okay, so
amazing. That is amazing. Now that's a new one. I had not seen that one.
Yeah. They're good, man. They're good. They cover a lot of good topics. They'll have people like Stephen A. Smith on the show. Yeah. They're really good. But this guy was asking the questions about, and he got this information from someone that he knows that's supporting the movement. And he goes on basically to say that he really disagrees with the movement and what's going on. And there are components that I would have to say I disagree with it as well. You like you said, you going down there trashing Kobe Bryant's, you know, the mural of Kobe Bryant. I mean, that doesn't sound like. I mean, he's not part of the system. Yeah, why? Yeah, like, his legacy wasn't about oppressing illegal immigrants. But the questions he asked are legitimate questions, and I want to start with asking you: do you see this as being justified? Do you agree with the people who are out here in the streets and what they're standing for and their disagreement of ICE and how they're doing things to remove people who are not supposed to be here from here?
Here's the thing. Okay. Number one, nobody, and I do mean nobody, has deported more immigrants than Barack Obama. Why now is it a problem? Hillary Clinton was campaigning on deporting them. Bill Clinton deported them. Bush deported them. But nobody has deported them at a rate like Barack Obama. So why is it a problem now? Number two, Joe Biden let them in. Okay. When he let them in, we're not just talking about Hispanics. We're talking about whoever around the world, wherever they was from, Afghanistan, you know, it was all kind of people coming in across that border. These people are committing some very serious crimes. Okay. Donald Trump ran on the premise of I'm gonna get these people out of here. See, this is not anything that he snuck up on us and told us with the bait and switch. We're gonna do this, and then he came in here and did that. We all knew that he was going to do this. So why now is it a problem? I'm cool with the protests. However, it's got to be peaceful. It's a lot of lives being put in jeopardy because of all of the violence that's going on in LA, in now in Georgia, New York, Illinois. It's a lot. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot. So, while, like Chris saying the target is on Hispanics, that's probably 80% of who's coming in. So it's not that the people don't want them over here, is that you got to come correctly. You got to come right. There's a way to come in. Now, Joe Biden opened the gates and let everybody in. You know what I'm saying? And I just, I'm cool with the protesting because protesting covers everybody, not just American citizens. So they are free to protest. However, these folks got a job to do. They gonna do it. There's a process to become an American citizen. You got to go through that process because you're burning the American flag, the same flag of the place that you're trying to stay, and you flying your flags and everything, the same place that you're trying to get away from. Make that make sense. It's not sense.
I have to say, man, this is a complicated issue on a lot of facts. And what's up, Chris? Thank you for dropping in and his comment about the targeting Hispanics, because I know of people who come overseas on work visas. When their work visa expires, they're long gone, can't be found. They're still here in this country. So, and that doesn't seem to be an issue, for the country. To your point, yes, the big issue, one of them has to do with Hispanics, particularly crossing, from Mexico, because they constitute a large part of the illegal immigrant population. But let me go a little deeper, man, because this sometimes he said something about critical race theory. But it for me, it starts with just my understanding of the history of how the country was started. Because as I understood it, and as we were taught when we were kids and Christopher Columbus discovered America, Christopher Columbus didn't discover America. As we gotten older and figured out, America
was already here.
There were people already who occupied it and claimed it as theirs. So there's a lot of history, when it comes to whether or not Texas actually is the land is essentially Mexico and America, just like it just changed one day and said that the Gulf of Mexico is no longer the Gulf of Mexico, is now the Gulf of America. It goes back into some deeper issues, and that's where my question for you starts as well, because this is, when you say America, I get it, and you're talking about what's legal and what's not legal, but it seems like the very basis of how this country was started in a illegally to begin with. It wasn't a honest deal that was made with people for to come in and occupy land that's already being occupied and claimed by another race of people. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I agree, to a certain extent, but it's a process. We are now in 2025, and there are things that are in process, like the people that was born here, we all got Social Security numbers, we all pay taxes. We can't get away from none of this stuff. The people that are coming across, they don't have these things. so they're not paying their fair share. All these roads and highways and streets and all these potholes got to be filled, and all of this, the infrastructure of the country, this stuff got to be paid for. Now if they running up and down the highways that we're paying for and they not paying their share, I mean, you know, it's not fair. You know what I'm saying? Now you're tearing stuff up, and you know, people getting hurt and everything. It's not sitting right with me. Yeah,
Okay,
it's not.
so it sounds like you're saying that people who are not legal American citizens and have not gone through the proper pathway to obtain their citizenship and are here need to leave. Is that your point? Is that your viewpoint?
I'm not gonna necessarily say need to leave, but you know, at the same time, from what I understand, the majority of the ones that they are targeting is the
Violent
criminal.
ones. Yeah, the criminals, the violent ones. Yeah, yeah.
You know
And
what I'm
yeah,
saying? So that's the target. You know what I'm saying? And
so are you
you
good with
know,
that?
I'm not against that.
Oh, you're not against that. I'm
I'm
not against
definitely
that
not
either. Yeah,
against that.
yeah,
You know
right.
what I'm saying? It's been a lot of people, you know, not just the ones like Lake and Riley, you know, that we've been hearing on the news. It's a lot of them. This is very common that a lot of people are losing their lives by way of people that have been let out of prison. Understand that South America told them folks, they cut them loose out of their prisons and said, go to the United States. We don't know what they did over there. You know what I'm saying? We don't know what they did over there when they come in. You know, you think it's a cowboy hat and, you know, little boots, and he a little short 5'2". You know what I'm saying? And probably then took out 50 people in his country. We don't know that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Okay, so the violent illegal aliens is the easy one. I think most people can agree to that one. But the large numbers of people who are not here legal, quote, and again I say quote unquote legally through the system of the correct pathway to become an American citizen. What are your thoughts about those people? Because it's a complicated issue, because one of the things at least I think about is America already overcrowded? Like, do we actually need more immigrants, or should there be some immigrant controls, meaning a certain number of people can come, so it's just not this just undocumented flow of people coming into this country? Should it be more kind of, we know that we could realistically take another 500,000, 2 million, whatever that number might be, immigrants to this country coming in? I mean, what do you let me just say, do you think we're overpopulated to begin with right now?
No.
Okay.
Because I mean, I have been to out of the 48, lower states, not counting, the other two. I have been to 43 states. There is a lot of land out there. We overpopulated in these major cities because we keep stacking each other. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of land out there. Sometimes in Texas, it's hundreds and hundreds of miles of land, of open land. You know what I'm saying? So land wise, no, I don't think we overpopulated. I just think the major cities are saturated. You know what I'm saying?
So some of this population needs to be spread out a little further.
Yeah,
So
a little further out. I mean, I don't know what the process is for the path of citizenship, but I think obviously it needs to be expedited. I think it needs to be, you don't need to be waiting around 7-8 years to find out if you're gonna be, eligible to stay in this country. I think it's something wrong with that. And it's just we're in a broken system across the board. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, we're definitely in a broken system across the board, and I know they're trying, part of building the border is to try to create some controls around the migration of people not from here, trying to control that to some degree. So I get that point. But I do agree with the cities are overpopulated. It's kind of like what I hear about the A now. There's like, yeah, we don't need no more of y'all coming to the A. We're good right now. At one point in time, it was cool, around Freaknik and all that stuff there. But but in the Olympics,
this what I heard. This what I heard the other day. They pricing, and it's true. I just heard it like yesterday. But now I see it's true. They pricing black folks out of Atlanta.
Yeah,
pricing them out. They coming in, buying everything, and trying to raise them prices super high like New York. So now black people can't even stay in the city of Atlanta because they done been priced out. So, but that's another issue. I got a video, a couple of videos actually. Let me see. So we can see some of this footage around the country at what's been going on, man. Because it's
let's run it, man. Let's see what's happening.
It's crazy, man. Let's see. Boom.
For quite some time.
Let's begin right now with Fox News contributor Brett Velikovich. He joins us now. And Brett, I know Carly has prepared extensively for this segment, so I'm going to let her take it from here.
That's right. Yeah, good morning, Brett. So we want to talk to you about drones because we just showed some LA riot footage where it was a drone that was displaying that footage, called a Predator drone. And not surprisingly, the people who are supporting these riots are saying those drones usually fly during military combat. Now they're flying over LA riots. How dare they fly on U.S. soil? So what is your reaction to that criticism?
Well, hey, first, good morning, and thanks for having me on the show again. It's great to see you guys. And look, these are not armed drones with Hellfire missiles that are launching off of them or ready to fire at protesters. So don't worry. They're really there to provide this sort of insight into criminal activity, capture footage of protests, feed intel to the local authorities. You have these large, massive groups of people popping up in areas around LA quickly, and that's something that law enforcement needs to get ahead of. And CBP, Customs Border Protection, they've had this fleet of unarmed drones for quite some time. Typically they're flying along the southern border of Mexico looking for drug cartel activity. They're used for more high-profile operations, but every once in a while they get tasked for domestic operations. And these things, they sit very, very high, typically 20,000 feet above ground, and they can see a lot of terrain that way and cover a lot of space. And so, it may be concerning for some Americans, but this is perfectly legal for them to fly over the airspace, especially when it comes to the fact now that the National Guard has been deployed. They have military assets like this that they can task out to support their operation. And that's really part of deploying the National Guard when it's activated by the president. It's not just about the individual soldiers, it's the resources, it's the surveillance assets, it's the intelligence, and it's this full support structure that comes along the way. So this is really a good thing for everyone's protection.
Yeah, and President Trump did a podcast with Miranda Devine of the New York Post. She's got a brand new podcast out, and she asked him about drone warfare and the fact that our adversaries have ramped up drone warfare in recent years. And she asked him how we can combat that, and he said, well, we just buy more drones than they do, which is a pretty succinct answer. And he did just sign an executive order to cut red tape regarding drones to increase and ramp up our creation of them, which sounds like a pretty good idea in this moment.
You're exactly right. I think that our defense industrial base has just been behind the power curve when it comes to advancing drone technology. We used to literally rule the skies, especially as it came to our use of drones against Al-Qaeda and ISIS. But we've really lost the bubble in China and Iran and Russia. They've all developed these drones at an alarming rate. And so it's great that the president issued this new executive order. That's big news for the U.S. drone industry. It's again, putting America first because it's focused on putting money into our domestic drone manufacturers. Right now, China is just building drones, in the hundreds of thousands per month. And we just haven't been able to do that because of these bureaucracy and these archaic laws. Yeah. And frankly, we need it. There is a drone technology arms race that's occurring. And the defense industry is broken, and drones are simply the future of warfare. Look, in Russia and Ukraine.
Yeah, man. They coming up with some technology. That's for sure, boy. They coming up with some technology, and I don't care what they say, what he say. Don't think for 1 second that them drones can't shoot nothing down. I don't believe it.
Said don't believe that.
I don't believe that.
Yeah.
I don't believe that. I had a couple more videos. Let me see. Let me get this one in because this one here is really.
Oh,
Yeah,
Chris.
this
Okay, Chris. I see you.
this one here is showing the it's showing you know, the Marines getting called in and all that good
we did say violent criminals, Chris. Violent criminals.
That's what we talking about. But that's the only concern. You get them out, we wouldn't even be having this issue.
With the tense standoff in Los Angeles after those sweeping ICE immigration raids sparked protests, a massive military response from President Trump. Tonight, more than 4,000 members of the California National Guard activated by the president, not the governor, and now 700 active duty Marines sent in too. Tonight, more U.S. troops are now activated for Los Angeles than in Iraq and Syria, costing American taxpayers $134 million. This afternoon, protesters gathering near a federal building in downtown Los Angeles. Over the past 24 hours, the LAPD containing protesters and moving them off the streets. After dark, protesters setting off fireworks, a massive police response. Nearly 100 people were arrested. Tonight, hear President Trump's new warning for those who protest his military parade in Washington, D.C., now just days away. What the president says will happen. ABC's Matt Gutman leading us off tonight from Los Angeles.
In a push to get the upper hand on the protests disrupting downtown Los Angeles, an aggressive show of force by the LAPD overnight, arresting over 100 people. Dozens of less lethal rounds used by law enforcement to disrupt groups, setting fireworks off at officers. Officers pouring in from every direction, overwhelming protesters. Tonight, President Trump defending his actions, saying those 700 Marines and more than 4,000 National Guard troops sent to LA against the wishes of officials on the ground here are there to stay, addressing troops at Fort Bragg.
They're stopping an invasion just like you'd stop an invasion.
Trump appearing to accuse the California governor and LA mayor of paying demonstrators with no proof.
And they paid troublemakers, agitators, and insurrectionists. They're engaged in this willful attempt to nullify federal law and aid the occupation of the city by criminal invaders. That's what it is.
Trump even suggesting without evidence that without the help of the National Guard, the city would be in flames. But we witnessed many of the protesters self-policing, keeping others in check. The National Guard's role has been minimal. California Governor Gavin Newsom posting this picture online, showing troops resting on the floor, suggesting the Trump administration sent those men and women without first securing a place for them to sleep or arranging supplies like food and water, calling it a haphazard stunt. The military disagreeing, responding, the soldiers have ready access to food and water as needed. There are now more U.S. troops deployed to Los Angeles than Iraq and Syria. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth on Capitol Hill with DoD leaders saying the mission will go on for the next 60 days, costing $134 million.
We have deployed National Guard and the Marines to protect them in the execution of their duties, because we ought to be able to enforce immigration law in this country.
Why are you sending war fighters to cities to interact with civilians?
Every American citizen deserves to live in a community that's safe, and ICE agents need to be able to do their job. They're being attacked for doing their job, which is deporting illegal criminals.
And in the latest round of his feud with President Trump, late today, Governor Gavin Newsom pushing back, asking the court to block the unprecedented use of military personnel to assist with immigration raids. And a short time ago, LAPD Chief Jim McDonnell addressing accusations his officers did too little, too late to assist federal officers.
My understanding, based on what we've looked at, is it was within 38 minutes. Normal
total from the time that you started to the time you actually got
from the time that we became aware of the need to the time we got there was 38 minutes.
And David, just moments ago, we learned there was a blow to Governor Newsom, a federal judge rejecting Governor Newsom's bid to block the deployment of National Guard troops and Marines here to Los Angeles. And we just wrapped that interview with the LAPD chief, who told us that the protesters you see are here. They are not going to be interacting with either the Marines or the California National Guard. That will remain the jurisdiction, he said, of local law enforcement. David.
Matt Gutman live in Los Angeles.
Listen, man, I'm gonna say this. That damn governor of California, he is a big piece of shit. Some bullshit. He been some bullshit. He always gonna be some bullshit. And if he ever think that he is going to run for the president of the United States of this country, boy, we're gonna send you right back to California to have a seat next to Kamala Harris. It's not happening.
It's not
It's
happening.
not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. You know, I can't really speak on California. Never lived out there, so I don't know what it's like to be out there. But they have a lot of challenges. We'll just say that, man. But there's a lot of people there too, and a lot of diverse types of people. And with the things that I hear about, it's either you got it or you don't in California. And I wonder if, when I think about these protests, I wonder how much some of the other things that people might be going through play a part in this, because I mean, I don't know. They're not saying that this is a recession, and it may not be, but I know shit costs a lot. It's hard to advance in some shape, form. It's hard to save money.
In
I mean,
California.
and then and I'm in
bad.
middle America, so to
Yeah.
be in California or one of these other major cities, I would imagine in a lot of cases it's even more challenging to do so because wages don't necessarily go up because you live in a big city. Your expenses typically do. So, I wonder what the economics, the money, if the economy, if these are really just people who feel like they're not really doing well on top of seeing all this stuff, what they perceive to be as, the ICE coming in. And then again, I from the way that I hear it, they say that they're deporting and looking for, the most violent and the most dangerous illegals. But the word on the street that I get around is that, a lot of people who know that they're here illegally, whether they're violent or not, they're laying real low right now. They're not doing, the little side jobs, and you can't find people to come out and, work on your car, or you work around, do some handyman stuff around your house like you used to. You can't just pull up in the Home Depot and grab a truckload of dudes, man, to work on your construction projects. I hear that there's just a lot of fear too related to ICE. And so, and regardless whether you're violent or not, just not want to be one of them ones who you were just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and before you know it, you're south of the border. So I would imagine, man, this just creates a lot of pressure on people, because again, if they know that they're not legal citizens, and they have fear about just moving around like they used to without that fear, and not being able to make money like they're used to, and all of these things. And I'm just curious to know how that might play an impact in all of this rioting and frustration that we see going on out in the streets. Any thoughts on that?
I mean, California is, I've spent some time, a little time out there traveling or whatever. I got relatives out there. I got a sister who is probably maybe 2 weeks away from moving from out there now to Georgia. My brother moved out here about 7-8 years ago. And Nate live out there.
Right.
California is bad, bro.
Yeah.
The taxes is through the roof. They always got the highest of everything. You can't get anywhere in life. And like you said, you either in California, New York, all these democratic places, California, New York, Illinois, you either have it or you don't. And when you don't, you at the bottom of the totem pole, man. You know what I'm saying? And that governor of California, along with Kamala Harris and just that whole crew out there, is Maxine Waters out there, Nancy Pelosi. I don't know, man.
Right. Yeah.
Years old, trying to make decisions for the country, and they in the next 10 years, most of them not even gonna be here. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He said, listen, man. Yeah, Gavin Newsom is a POS for sure, man.
Hey,
And
man, he
go ahead,
mentioned the name, man, but I'm sorry, I had to come drop in on this one, man. That picture your recent picture of one of the local celebs in the ATL that you pulled up on. You want to talk about that yet?
Not really.
Not really.
Now because I'm supposed to be having a meeting with her and to discuss some stuff and a lot of stuff that has been in the news and playing out over the last couple of years with the YSL trial and everything. And
Oh man, that's what's up. That's big.
Other things like the RICO charges against the teachers.
The teachers, yeah.
We had
Tamara
on the show. You know what I'm saying? And I'm supposed to be now, unless she was just trying to get me out her face, I'm supposed to be meeting with her, to talk about some stuff because I give credit where credit due. What she did on Saturday was a good thing. This is
was
what
a good thing. Okay.
And I was having a conversation with Victor Hill. And by the way, that video is going to drop tomorrow night at 9 Eastern. Victor Hill is running for Congress, and I had a conversation with him last night. And
congrats, brother. Congrats on that. Yeah, big. That's huge.
Like he's saying, like he's trying to get to Congress and run on. These prosecutors need to be held accountable when they taking people life for 20 and 30 years. But that's a whole nother story. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
and tomorrow night at 9 Eastern, it will be up and it's stuck.
Yeah, brother. I hope you get that interview with her, man. I think that would be I would definitely be locked and loaded on that one, brother. Because
I'm not gonna necessarily say I don't believe she's gonna like come on the show or do an interview. I don't believe that.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm gonna have a conversation with her about just about some stuff in general and how it's time to change. Politics and jail and law and order as we know it is 2025. We gotta have some changes, man. And I just feel like we only a couple of conversations away from being able to put some stuff in real places. And just based on my hour-long conversation with Victor Hill last night, he said something that kind of sparked something with me, that more of us need to be in politics.
Okay.
See, we want all these people to understand what we're going through, but none of us are in there. These folks have been born with silver spoons in their mouth, most of them.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So that's why Vic say he's running. And and that's something I've been thinking about. I've been thinking about running, the president of the United States, convicted felon. He putting a lot of people in places of in position as convicted felons in his administration. We need that for whatever people got to say. We need that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But back to this discussion with these folks, man. How could you not be on board with child molesters, armed robbers, murderers, rapers, kidnappers, all this stuff? How could you not be on board with deporting people out of this country, man? I don't. That's supposed to be something that transcends across party lines.
Right.
Bottom line, you know what I'm saying? These folks is wrong. You need to get their ass up out of here, and that's just it. You know what I'm saying? And
Now,
you're showing your classness by doing the stuff that you're doing, man. Some of these videos crazy, man.
Now and I don't know if this goes in line with what's happening with the riots and ICE, but just personally, being serving time and being with people and knowing people personally who have bodies on their records, and I know it's different from everybody I talk to. I know that when it comes to child molesters and rapists, and some of those things are considered unforgivable offenses. Murder is something that is a little different, that I think that in some people's minds, there is some line between whether or not you can be forgiven for that. And I've known people whose own family members who have been victims, their loved ones have died at the hands of another individuals, have themselves forgiven people for the atrocity or the criminal act that they've done. And so it is, when you talk about, putting these labels on people as, criminals or violent criminals, I don't know, should we look at this a little deeper to say, like, because I know that there are people who are redeemed souls and have redeemed their lives, although that they've conducted acts that might be considered by most people unforgivable. And to be honest with you, some of these individuals can turn out to become some awesome human beings. I know that there's a guy that he talked about his story. He was the head of Michael Jordan's Jordan brand. And when he was a teenager, he had a incident where a person was killed at his hands. But he grew up in an age where records could be sealed. They're not all, you can't just Google somebody and all your shit just pops up. So he was able to hide the fact that he had this case, and he's demonstrated through his life and his life works that he rose to the ranks of being I think president of Nike, and then through his relationship with Nike and meet Michael Jordan, he was then moved over and helped Jordan, successfully scale his brand to a global brand. So, and then after his career, he did come out because he felt convicted, somewhere, and his daughter had pushed him to say, hey, you shouldn't be ashamed of your story anymore. This could be serve as inspiration to other people. He then came out to do that. So I don't know. So I'm gonna bounce it back to you. Do we go deeper with these things? Do we just label these people as convicts and felons and murderers and violent people that need to leave, or do we need to look deeper?
I do believe that some people change their life. I've seen it firsthand. I've did time with people that have taken people's lives. Some of them have gotten out. I got relatives that was put in them situations. They went and did their 20, 30 years, and they have been quiet as church mice since they've been out. So people do change. When it comes to doing something, and to taking child's innocence, I never trust them people. You know what I'm saying? If a grown man is taking the innocence of a child, I never trust them. I don't care if they reformed or whatever. I'm not trying to be, the judge. God judges, but however, I wouldn't be in support of that. But when it comes to the people from the outside, man, I don't know. This just me. If I was going to a country, man, I'd be so still. I'd be in the house, work home. You wouldn't even catch me in the street trying to protest nothing. I'd be at work going home, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. especially if you was if you was the dude that was taking folks' lives wherever you came from. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Quiet. When you do what you do, man, you got to stay out the way, man.
Yeah.
Stay out the way.
Yeah, I would say, some of these decisions when it comes to people's lives are not, they're not easy decisions, not easy choices. And it's, it's unusual, man, sometimes thinking about these things. When we talk about the haves and the have-nots, I find it unusual that we have people who are known like Elon Musk, who are trillionaires or, or will be the first trillionaire. I'm not sure if he's one now, but we can have pockets of immense wealth. There are people in this country, known and unknown. Most of them unknown. We're not talking about just the celebrities. We're talking about the people who are the investors and the individuals who run the companies that pay the celebrities and pay the athletes and cut checks out of their corporate checking accounts to pay these individuals. We're talking about those people. And to think, the immense amounts of wealth that we have in this country, but yet, we have just pockets of people just who are, probably even in this age, literally dirt poor, and it's like, how do you make sense of some of that and a lot of that, and how do you come up with, it's just fascinating to me, how diverse, these things are. And that's, one thing, man. And eventually, one point, we got to come to this discussion, because on this same podcast about ICE and the riots, that are taking place, there was another discussion, and I can find it if you want me to, but they started talking about the Jeffrey Epstein list and why this list hasn't been released yet. This was a very heated conversation that took place on that podcast, and I don't know. You got some time? Can we run it? I know we getting.
If you ain't found it, I want to run this one thing about Miss Maxine Waters, what she said.
Okay.
Yeah, let me see. Yeah, and then I'll be done with this.
All right. When Democrats aren't blaming President Trump for the anti-ICE chaos in America's cities, party leaders are trying to deny anything bad is even happening. Take a listen to Maxine Waters here.
Nobody was shot. Nobody was killed. Get it in your head. Don't think that somehow, because they called out the National Guard, there was violence. There was no violence.
And Hillary Clinton decided to add her 2 cents, writing, California Governor Newsom didn't request the National Guard be deployed to his state following peaceful demonstrations. Trump sent them anyway. It's the first time in 60 years a president has made that choice. Trump's goal isn't to keep Californians safe. His goal is to cause chaos because chaos is good for Trump. Hillary has since turned off the comments on that post, if that's an indication of how it was received.
Yeah, they weren't very receptive to that point, the people on the Twitters. Fox News contributor and senior writer for the Washington Examiner, Joe Concha, joins us now. Joe, are they out and out lying or something else at play? Is there a certain amount of violence, a certain level of violence that is acceptable, sort of like you're grading on the curve when it comes to their word, peaceful?
The answer is both, Todd. Carly, thanks for having me. Yeah, it's yes, lying. It's the cheap fake videos of Joe Biden in 2024 that weren't cheap fakes at all over again, as we later found out after that debate and so on. So Democrats want us to believe that watching law enforcement being pelted by concrete, rocks, projectiles, fireworks, they want to say, all right, that's an acceptable level of violence, to your point, Todd. All of those businesses being ransacked and looted, ICE officers and their families being doxxed, that's apparently okay. That's the new normal. So it appears that everybody from Maxine Waters to Kamala Harris, Gavin Newsom, Karen Bass, Hillary Clinton, almost every Democrat not named John Fetterman, they want looting and rioting and lighting scores of cars on fire to be that acceptable new normal. And we're even hearing this analogy, you'll love this, Todd, particularly from Democratic lawmakers on CNN and MSNBC, that this really is no different than a team winning a championship and celebrating in the streets. I mean, one ABC reporter said, quote, it's just a bunch of people having fun watching cars burn. So the media obviously is enabling this here. The difference here, and I'll leave this here, is that social media under Elon Musk, X particularly, is the great equalizer. Corporate media, legacy media can claim one thing and say, this really isn't bad, it's peaceful, don't believe your lying eyes. But then X, which infinitely more people go to for their news now. They have the videos, they have the proof, they have the mockery of these media people, of these Democrats. And that's why this isn't going to work the way it did in 2020, because X particularly is the great equalizer.
Yeah, I don't think that football fans are breaking up cinder blocks and throwing them at federal agents and spray painting bleep ice on the side of buildings. So we heard from Maxine Waters, we heard from Hillary Clinton. Here are other Democrats and media pundits reacting to this as well. Watch.
All right. Things are peaceful here in Los Angeles. I hope and pray that they stay that way.
Saturday night in Paramount, they had this situation under control. Overnight, LAPD got that under control.
He has no idea what to do with the sustained and growing and intractable and indomitable protest and opposition of the American people against him. Game over, big guy, you lose.
And to add to that, Joe, here's a Washington Post headline quoting someone. He's waging a war on us. The headline continues to read, as Trump escalates, Angelenos defend their city. So do you think, Joe, that this would have an impact? This moment right now will have an impact in the midterm elections? I mean, maybe the only thing helping Democrats right now is that there was a lot of time between then and now.
Yeah, I think the only party it helps and president it helps is President Trump, because all I've seen is his poll numbers continue to steadily climb up, where you have many polls showing him above 50% in approval right now. It's not going in the opposite direction. But I'll share with you one very telling poll here. It comes from Insider Advantage. They were the most accurate poll of the 2024 election, or at least in the top three. They're ranked A by 538. And it says, do you approve Trump's National Guard deployment? There's a poll that just was out late yesterday. 60% approve, 40% disapprove. That's a 20-point difference. So yeah, people support this because, again, what is the underlining theme here? ICE is trying to arrest murderers, rapists, and child molesters. And if you're against that as a party and as a media, you're definitely on the wrong side of an issue. And this will be a campaign ad, to your point, Carly, in 2026.
Before we let you go, I need a quick answer on this. Breaking news this morning. Elon Musk's apology. The founder of Doge sent out this early morning post saying, quote, I regret some of my posts about President Donald Trump last week. They went too far. Where does this all lead, Joe? And specifically, does it lead to Elon Musk at the big, beautiful bill signing ceremony in the Oval?
Imagine.
Let's see how President Trump responds, right? Because Elon Musk has been sort of kind of apologizing for days. This obviously is more full-throated. The bottom line is Elon Musk started that war 2 weeks ago like a petulant teenager, at a very bad time of night, basically going after the sitting president of the United States, and did it repeatedly until Trump days later finally responded. So I think Elon Musk has learned his lesson. I think he understands that if he's going to have a problem with President Trump, I am certain he has a direct line to him. Don't do it publicly. Speak to him. Voice your concerns over spending, but to do it the way he did was a whole bowl of wrong. He knows it, and this tweet now proves it. So I think they move on, but I don't think they're going to be back to the level of friendship that they were perhaps before that, because it's kind of hard to go back from you were in the Epstein files. Oh, by the way, maybe you were.
Yeah, some of his posts went too far. Yeah, understatement of the century. I mean, this apology certainly doesn't hurt their relationship. I think President Trump has taken the high road on this one so far, and I'm sure he will continue to. Joe, thank you.
A petulant child. So that really spins into what you was talking about, but yeah,
it definitely spins into it, because this is what they say on a podcast about these Epstein files, which I think was very interesting as well, because we haven't seen the files yet or the list of the people.
I mean, to that point, Elon is not the first person that done said Trump. It's so many people on that. What is the top secretness?
Yeah, I just wanted to know where are the files at this point and who's on it. I mean, who's on these lists? Let's
sits
see.
down with Joe Rogan. Same time where J.D. Vance sits with Theo Vaughn. But Kash Patel sits with Rogan. Rogan's pushing him on Epstein. And here's what the exchange sounded like. A lot of people are like, well, what is going on here? In the interview with Rogan, he addressed speculation about video evidence from Jeffrey Epstein's Little St. James Island, known as the Pedo Island, in the U.S. Virgin Islands, stating that while footages exist, it is not. Here's the clip. Watch it. Go for it.
The narrative has always been that there's video. But what about the video from the island?
Again, we're going to give you everything we can. And people have to remember, we're not going to re-victimize women. We're not going to put that shit back out there. It's not happening. 'Cause
Blur
then
their
he will.
faces.
Not doing it.
Like-
You want to hate me for it? Fine. Again, logical play out. If there was a video of some guy or gal committing felonies on an island and I'm in charge, don't you think you'd see it?
I don't think so.
Right. If you have it.
Right.
But you can't say that you have it.
No, we're giving you everything we have.
And is there video from the island?
Not of what you want.
What does
So
that even mean?
this narrative might not be accurate, that there's video of these guys doing this.
Exactly.
Have you
I
guys
don't believe
reviewed everything that you have?
Almost. Like yes, we have, and now we're figuring out how to.
He's not a good interviewer.
Does
Right.
anybody
Put it
believe him, though?
But
That's the question.
is there footage?
Rob, go to the.
If there was footage of anyone doing anything else, we would have opened a case.
Yeah, look.
There are tens of thousands of videos. Yeah, and it's all with little kids.
If there was a video of some guy
Or gal.
committing felonies on an island and I'm in charge, don't you think you'd see it?
Not anymore. Do you
Rob,
understand?
can you go to the clip I just sent you, Rob?
that
Can you go to
O'Keefe?
the clip I just sent you? And Vinny, I'm going to come to you right
Yeah,
now, so
yeah.
hang tight. But if you go to the clip I sent you, while that's being shown, he shows the O'Keefe, by the way, James O'Keefe, everybody, is on Connect and responding. So if there's
Yes, he
anybody
is.
that wants to Connect O'Keefe, just go on Connect and type in. So pull this up when it starts to pan Bondi, because everything with Patel is what we just watched, so we don't need to see it. Fast forward to when Bondi starts speaking after he said what okay, go right there. Go ahead, watch this.
No, the FBI, the FBI, they're reviewing, there are tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child porn. And there are hundreds of victims.
Okay.
And no one victim will ever get released. It's just the volume, and that's
So
what they're
guess
going
what,
through
Pat?
right now.
Who do
The
you believe,
FBI
Cash
is
or
diligent.
Bondi?
Well, here's the thing. One of them is lying. Okay. That is his boss. She's the attorney general. She's the highest ranking law enforcement officer in the United States. He's the director of the FBI. Which one of you is lying? Because it has to be one of you. Because by the way, she got caught talking that shit inside of a freaking restaurant with some random person.
Yeah, she told some random lady.
So is
We
this
got
a cover?
videos
That's what
galore."
you're saying. So is she lying right here to cover that she got
caught
busted
doing it.
on the secret camera?
Exactly. But what do you think, Tom? Well, one of them is lying. Okay. And here's my thing. Listen, and everybody always wants to talk about proof and give me can we go off intuition? Can we go off feeling? Does anybody believe Cash Patel right there? I don't care how well spoken he is in this moment. I don't believe it. I don't believe it because your boss even said it. And so does he want me to believe that all the cameras, all that setup, that big room that Jeffrey Epstein, that demon had in his freaking Epstein porn island, whatever the hell, pedophile island, where are all those tapes? Where are
Who
all those
looks
tapes?
bad here, though?
And
Who looks bad?
they
here?
both look bad. They both look bad, but it all goes on her because that's the boss. And here's my thing. Okay, you right, guys, ready for this? If that's the case and nothing wrong, then if I was Ghislaine Maxwell and her lawyer, get me out of jail right now. I want to be sent. Take me out of prison right now because I'm in here for nothing. There's no tapes. There's nobody doing illegal shit. Then why is she in jail? What did she do? What's the crime? There's no crime. All of a sudden, everything with Epstein involved, there's nothing. He killed himself. Everybody shut up and move on. Then get her ass out of jail then, if that's the case, because she's in there for nothing. All right? It's bullshit, Pat. And this goes to prove whoever is running the real making decisions, whoever is talking to her and telling her and him to talk like this, those are the people that have the most power because they have the actual footage of everybody doing nasty shit.
Here's what it does to Tom.
Unbelievable.
If Cash is saying, by the way, this is a terrible look for the president.
Yes, it is.
Because this looks like you're contradicting each other. And you just sent Cash to go on Joe Rogan podcast. And that's how he handled himself. There isn't a single person that even has remote 5% knowledge of body language that sits there and watches that and says, I believe him, especially the way he answered the questions.
Yeah.
Never answered the questions.
Nope.
Didn't answer the questions. And Pam Bondi. So if that's the case, Cash, we met once at UFC. I like your work. I think you love America, but I think you're in a shitty situation right now. Here's what I want to do. If there's nothing on those tapes, release Ghislaine Maxwell. Let us interview her.
Yep.
But you can't do one or the other. Either Pam is telling the truth, that there is disturbing videos with children, her words. Either you're telling the truth, that there's nothing there. If she's telling the truth, drop what you have. If you're telling the truth, release Ghislaine Maxwell. It's that simple. Then it's unfair. If you're telling me nothing happened, Ghislaine should be free. Should relieve free Ghislaine. Let some great folks that do great interviews go interview her, and let the market decide. Right? Freedom of assembly, freedom of media, press, for them to do what they want to do. Free press, do that. But there's no way you can keep saying that and Ghislaine is still in jail. It's unfair, Cash. It is unfair. It's not. It's un-American. It's un-American. It's it's unfair that she went to jail like so many other criminals that didn't do the crime. If she didn't do the crime, release her. So you're one of these. This is where contradiction catches on, where the market says, which one is it?
Yep.
Tell me. Tom, thoughts?
We were at the Kentucky Derby and we ran into a congressman in the hallway.
Yes,
remember this? And it was very interesting. He had a couple of people standing around him. So I said, hey, appreciate your work. Appreciate your voice for conservative America. He says, thank you very much. And there's another guy talking to him there. Another guy made a comment about, hey, I thought Pam Bondi was going to release this stuff. That was the exact question to him. He sits there, he puts his hands in his pockets. He kind of leans back there, wearing a suit, tie, looking nice for Kentucky Derby. And he goes, well, Cash works for her. So he's kind of waiting on whatever the policy will be. He says something like that, right? On whatever the directive is going to be. So you got to go to her and say, well, what do you got? When's it coming out? And there was some other, he turns his head a little bit, didn't hear the full thing. He says, Congress has closed hearings all the time. So it's like, where is it? So that, at least that's what a congressman was willing to say. No microphones, nothing like that. Well-dressed people approaching him very nicely. Nobody was putting a camera phone in his face. You know what I mean? And so I see that and I sit back, Pat, and I said, yeah, why don't you tell the American people we're having closed hearings? We're having a closed hearings. They do that. Senate Select Committee and things. There's ways to do this. And just making both like this, I agree with Pat. It's just a bad look.
It's a very bad look, Adam. Very. And you know what it means? Do you think Trump sat down him and her?
Well, yeah, man. There was a piece to this that I definitely wanted to share. Was Vinny? He's the one that gets real emotional. Vinny goes in about because one of the other guys, Adam, he's basically saying that if there are some disturbing, well-known names, high-ranking names, because we know that anybody that went on that island, you were either a leader of a corporation, leader of a country. I mean, you got names like Bill Gates, Bill Clinton. Donald Trump's name was alleged. You got a lot of powerful people and powerful names. J.P. Morgan Chase, I believe. There was just a lot of powerful people's names who was associated with going to that island. And so the question was asked by Adam, like, is it worth potentially ruining what we have going on in America, is the progress that we're making in America and making America great again by releasing this list? And there's people's names on there who it's going to show to the world that it's basically going to lead to a lot of discussions internally, and we're not focusing on the real problems. And Vinny was like, absolutely. I want, it doesn't matter, because this is a situation. It's deeper than that. It's deeper. This has to do with your relationship with God. I mean, he just goes in, man. I really want to play that clip, but he says he doesn't care about all the politics and who's, covering and making sure somebody's name and reputation stays preserved so they can continue to doing their job. He wants to know who's on that list and who's out there committing these crimes against children. So he doesn't want to see the videos. He doesn't want to see what was the horrible things that might have been happening to underage boys or girls. Like you said, the nasty shit that was going on that island. He doesn't want to see that. He doesn't even want those people's names to be released. But he does want to know who are the people that were doing these things so they can be held accountable. Anyway, I don't know if you want to touch that tonight, but what are your thoughts?
I'm trying to figure out, like, I just don't know. It's one of them things that it's the media. Somebody's lying somewhere. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. When you think about the island stuff, where the kids was coming from, like where the videos at, none of the videos got leaked. I don't know. I don't know about
Yeah,
that.
there's some cover up going on for sure. I saw another podcast about this and how Epstein did, because Epstein was this very rich individual and he flaunted his wealth. And I've heard one story about how he would go to these countries and he's meeting with the heads of these countries, right? But he's representing himself as he has, you know, all these connections with people in media and all of these things and, you know, entertainment. So as I understand it, when he's in these foreign countries, he would pretty much, you know, present himself as someone that could help launch these young women or young men's careers. So he would pick them up, fly them on pick them up on his private jet. They go to the airport, hop on the jet, thinking they're coming to New York City to meet him and to talk business about their careers. When in actuality, they're not being flown to New York City, they're being flown to the island. And they're essentially been kidnapped. And there's no way to get off that island other than on a plane. And there's all these people who worked for him who were very complicit in what was going on. They understood what was taking place, but because they were being paid, you know, great amount of money, you know, I don't know if they felt threatened that if they were to, you know, report at, you know, if they got employed and then by the time he was working there, and they found out what was really going on, if they left the island, that they had fears of losing their life. Because again, you're seeing the most powerful people, some of the most powerful people in the world. So it was this horrible situation that, you know, I mean, once you got there, you were there and you were victim to whatever whims or whatever they decided, like I said, weird, nasty shit they wanted to do to you. So it's very disturbing. You know, again, I applaud Vinny for taking his stance on it. And so, but yeah, yes.
Here's the thing I got. Where are these people at? Where the victims at? Did they die? Did they get killed? Are they still on the island? Where are these people at? Why has nobody just came out with a tell-all book? Because if these people, this stuff was happening to these people and nobody, where is one person that's broke as fuck and saying, you know what, I'm about to cash in and I'm about to tell this story about what was going on at where these people at?
Oh, bro, you going deep. I don't think that at this point, I don't know which direction you're going with it, but I
mean,
don't.
I'm saying, like, I don't know, like, I'm not saying nothing was happening.
Okay.
Wherever it was happening at on the island or whatever. I'm just saying that when it comes to hundreds and the way they talk is like thousands of people.
Yes.
You mean to tell me everybody holding the secret? The secret not gonna get out no kind of way, no leak in the secret whatsoever. It's just like in prison. All right, it's just like in prison. You're in a dormitory with 100 people. You're in a dormitory, everybody benefiting. You got the gamblers, you got the cell phones in there, you got the drugs in there,
right.
You got everything. Every you know, you got alcohol, you got whatever in there. Out of 100 people in the dormitory, you think it ain't nothing ain't gonna get out of there to the back to the people? Nothing, no kind of way. I've lived this.
Yeah.
I've seen this firsthand, where everybody in the dormitory is benefiting. You know, everybody is eating. You mean to tell me now one person
Well, gee, I will say this, man. When you talking about the highest levels of power, and I mean, when you understand, like, the CIA, and then these dark agencies that might not even be registered, as agencies that work and that really out here, you just don't know what's going on for real. For real, we don't know all the stakes involved. I mean, I don't even know if Epstein really died in that cell as they allege.
Right.
There's some levels, man, that I think we only really see a glimpses of it until we see movies, and it's kind of sometimes feels hard to believe that there's these operatives and people doing things, man, on incomprehensible levels taking place. And I mean, governments being involved in bodies being missing, and so I don't know, bro. I don't know. I mean, I don't, but I do think that there's a large group of people calling for this list. They want transparency related to it. Part of why there was some, about draining the swamp in terms of Trump's narrative about the swamp, this being one part of it, and being because there has been a lack of transparency with the American people, what the FBI, CIA, how they move, how they do things. And it's fascinating that we've gotten to this point where when it comes to this Epstein list, the transparency doesn't seem to be there. Everything else is, let's open up the books, let's tell the people the truth. And because I think that's what a lot of people, in addition to closing, shutting down the borders and, doing all these things, is we want to know the truth. People are tired of the American people are tired of being lied to and lied to by the people who are electing them to serve them and serve their best interests. So I get that, I get that that's it's that how the frustration had bubbled up to a point where it just got to, like, please, someone get up there and be a real one. You know what I'm saying? Be a certified real one when it comes to how you deal with us, communicate with us, and keep us informed of what's going on as it relates to this country. So I don't know, man. It's a story. It's one in development. It was crazy to see Joe just be Rogan be up there blowing. Got the FBI director right in front of him. He blowing that good. I'm like, boy, yeah. He on his own time for a show, for real. G, maybe we'll get to that level. We can just blow.
Listen, I'm gonna show people what to do with money, because people with money seem to don't know what to do. I can't wait to get it, because I'm gonna show people how to live, man.
You gonna just be blowing in front of the FBI director, this CIA director, don't even matter. Huh? You just gonna?
Nah, I'm not gonna do nothing illegal, but I'm gonna definitely live my life to the fullest, and me and the ones around me will be okay.
That's right. That's right.
Be good.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I know we at 113 right now. I definitely want to plug and promote our upcoming live coming up Sunday. This Sunday, we are going to be talking about a very special topic. G, you want to talk to the people about what we got going on this Sunday?
It's on. Let's go.
Yeah, man. So this Sunday, we're going to have a special talk, because I think this is something, is going to be a very real thing along with everything else that's going to be transforming in the world, and that is transforming the world. We know about ChatGPT, we know about the driverless cars, but one aspect in the robots is going to be another one that's coming up. But one of the things as it relates to me and G, and being that we both have CDLs, is driverless trucks. And so there's a company we want to focus on, and we want to expose you guys to, and ladies who are in the trucking industry specifically, this company, and we want to talk about it. We want to talk about what's really going on and how these things probably are going, in my opinion at least, probably are going to change how we look, to some degree, how we view trucking and the future of trucking. So, so we'll talk about it on Sunday for sure. Yeah.
Also, tomorrow night, don't forget, 9 Eastern, conversation with former Sheriff of Clayton County, Victor Hill. It's just a lot, the closer we get, the more we're gonna be posting. Yeah, I appreciate people. I'm catching the followers for some reason. They've been kind of like clicking up 2 or 3 here, 4, 5 there. It's moving on up. The hours for sure. I'm like 75% of the way there.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Congrats, brother. Congrats.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. We're gonna see 20K. We're gonna see the numbers on the monetization end.
Yeah,
ching, 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 ching. Yeah.
4,000 hours might hit at the same time almost. So
yeah. And if you're watching, you like what you see, man, and you want to be a guest on the show, just hit us up, man. We'll get you on live. Yeah. I got a guest actually who wants to come on and jump on with us on live Sunday as well. So come on in. He's career truck driver, but he's got some strong opinions about this driverless truck phenomenon, new tech that's coming. And man, I'm really going to provide a lot of education because I've been doing a lot of research on this, man, and it's deeper than just driverless trucks. And I can't wait to get into it, brother. Can't wait to get into it. Yeah.
Y'all tapping in.
Thank you for tuning into XconMedia. Go right ahead and subscribe to the channel. Hurry up!